Eugene Bareman, Coach of the Year. I believe he is the defending, reigning Coach of the Year from the World MMA Awards, but he's the coach of Volkanovski, of the Hangman, of Izzy, and he's got 8 other guys all signed to a contract. I mean, very special, very rare talent to have this much success and this quickly. I must tell you, this guy came out of nowhere, at least for me. Hard to question him when he has sitting reigning champions and he's the defending Coach of the Year. He came out, he did an interview. It caught my eye. He was talking about Robert Whittaker and Coach Bareman's assessment. He maintains that Whittaker, because he said no to the opportunity, goes to the back of the line. We're going to go with Vettori, and then we'll see who's next. But next isn't going to be him. He gets to go back at the end of the line. I was looking this over with my partner, Ryan, and Ryan goes, but Chael, have you ever seen, I mean, we're finding out contenders because a trainer says so? Have you ever seen anything like this? And I said, well, no, now that you asked me in those terms, no, I have not. And he said, well, at what point does the trainer get to say? Well, that part I can answer. The trainer and the team and the manager and even the fighter himself, as much courage as he has, bang your chest, do what Izzy Adesanya does, step up to any challenge anytime you want. You have guys you don't want to fight. You will fight them. You will respect the sport. You will respect the rankings. You will expect their hard work and give them the opportunity, but you don't want to fight them. So anytime you come out and say, because don't forget who we all want to fight. We want to fight the easiest guy for the biggest paycheck. And I think that Coach Bareman makes a level fair point. Now, the point isn't you stumble in the rankings and you go down. It comes from, we were willing to do it. We didn't want to do it, but we're going to do it because you're the former champion. You've put some good matches here. We owe it to you. But we don't want to do it. So if you're going to say no and we said yes, we put our foot in the sand and you did not show up, we're going somewhere else, which is what we've wanted to do anyway. It's hard for me to imagine that there's any other reason that Coach Bareman would be saying that Whittaker's got to go back in the pile. And it's also tough to put him too far down that pile, right? Because you could draw that pile of 185 pounders, but you're not going to find more than 1 or 2 that haven't been beaten by Robert Whittaker. It's one of those, it's very tough to slide him too far down. And I do think that those things that are said are very interesting. I caught one with Malky last week, and Malky was talking about George Masvidal, one of his clients. And Malky said in the interview, George is up for anything as long as it makes sense. Could you imagine having to work with that attitude? If it makes sense to who? We now have to hear your opinion? Your opinion. If you get a phone call, right? If you're Masvidal's team and you get a phone call because the decision maker on the second floor of the UFC has decided they want to put a match together, that means it makes sense. They have decided that it makes sense. They have thought it over. They've calculated and computed and it makes sense. You get a phone call and you say no. You don't get to come and say no because that doesn't make sense. Makes sense to who? Why would you have a say in it? Why would you have any feeling in it? And if you had a feeling, you would have offered it right then. That's the other side of this coin, where these attitudes are very unhelpful and it's very hard to get things done. If you would have had a better idea of something that you think makes sense, you would have said it right then. You wouldn't say, oh yeah, they'll call and we'll take anything as long as it makes sense. No, you would have said right then. I think that they should call, and I really think that they should. The winner of Leon and Nate, that's the one that we're looking at. Nate and George got a history. Leon and George have been waiting to settle unfinished business. We're going to take a real good look at that. I suspect that's the direction that when we receive a phone call, they will be going in. If you had any level of idea, you want to say it makes sense, right? This is my big problem. That is not helpful. Makes sense to who? And if the author of the statement, why would we care what he thinks? What's he going to bring to the table? What check is he going to write? What hard work is he going to do? I mean, you see where the problem comes in. You want to go out and you want to try to say those interesting things. Why would you miss the opportunity to steer the narrative right then? and say what it is you think that makes sense. And I'll answer the question because you haven't thought about it. You don't have the foggiest idea what you're doing. So it's something that you just say, stick my foot in the ground. I don't have an idea. That would have been another way that he could have said it.